All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders at the great millstone who taught me this truth, and much respect to the Akim of their layman in his work. Peace and salutation to the hopefully elect who will scatter abroad across the four corners of the earth. To you I say, Shalom. Yeah, so just want to go into a quick news and prophecy update as we see that troubling times are very near, the time of great uncertainty, going into that word perplexity, as we always pull out, which is pretty much dealing with the lack of resources or the lack of access to those resources, in which these tariffs, as we know, is basically paving way for shortages, which will increase the price of things and the lack of access to these things, contributing to the great confusion and then ultimately the violence that we're going to see. So I want to play this video right here that I came across on YouTube from this channel, A Homestead Journey, with this woman right here. So the video is entitled Walmart is pulling food from shelves ahead of shortages. Man. So let's read her description right here. It says, quote unquote, it's just gone. That's what shoppers across the country are saying as Walmart quietly pulls food from shelves without warning. The reason? Coming shortages? While officials downplay the crisis, major retailers like Walmart are already making moves, and the American public is being left in the dark. So in this eye-opening video, we uncover why Walmart is removing key food items, what insiders are saying about supply chain disruptions, and how this all points to a much bigger problem heading straight for your dinner table. So inside the video, we break down what specific foods are disappearing from Walmart shelves and why. Uncover the real reasons behind these quiet removals and connect the dots between these actions and the growing threat of food shortages and global supply chain disruptions. Most importantly, we explore what this means for your pantry and your ability to stay prepared in the months ahead. So this isn't just a restocking issue, it's a red flag. And for those paying attention, it's a clear sign that time is running out to prepare. And the sign couldn't be even more, it couldn't be even more clearer for those who really understand what's going on, those who have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. We clearly see these things. We saw them before they even came. All right. The scripture warns you about inflation, the store shelves being empty. Okay. In fact, let's go ahead and start with that just to kick it off. But these people, they're about to feel the pain. They're about to feel, what we have been briefed about within the scriptures. And we're going to go through some of the stuff as well. But, like the scripture said, the difference between us and them is that, we have hope opposed to these people who want this thing to just end. They want this thing to bounce back, in which they're going to be sadly mistaken. So 2 Ezra 6 and 22, it says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And this was written thousands of years ago, but it's alluding to the time of now, the time of the end, in which we're going to witness the stores being found suddenly empty. All right, this is what was showed on the edges. It says, okay, and a trumpet shall give a sound, which whenever man hear, they shall be suddenly afraid. And the trumpet is going on right now with the prophets warning these people about what's going to take place. But when they start experiencing what we have been talking about, then they're going to be suddenly afraid. Like, damn, they was talking about this. You see? So when the store shelves are suddenly found empty, that's going to increase the uncertainty, the perplexity, and also the beast of man. So most of where it says in verse 24, and at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. Why? Because there is no food. There's going to be a shortage on the access of things. There's going to be a shortage of resources and the access to those things, should I say. All right. It says, and the earth shall stand in fear of those that dwell therein, those who, take refuge within the system, who trust in America. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. All right. So whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee, all right, shall escape and shall see my salvation and the end of your world. People don't know that we're at the end of a current age. All right. And it's the end of the world. It's talking about the end of Esau's rulership. Okay. Paving way for the kingdom of heaven. That hope that we have been exposed to, the hopeful elect, okay, of the nation of Israel. So before the kingdom of heaven can be established, after the end of this world, we got to go through these uncertainties, these perplexities, the lack of resources. Okay. But, like I was saying, we have hope. Now, I want to go to 2 Nephi 16 real quick. Just dealing with the food issue. All right. So verse 21, 2 Nephi 16 and 21, the time, all right, it's coming when food would be so cheap that people would think a time of peace and plenty has arrived. Okay. So, this is in the GNT, by the way. This is alluding to the time in which, food right now, you still have certain access to certain things. You got the comfortability of going here and there to get these things. Inflation has not really hit as it's going to hit, in the near future, so people right now, you still kind of got it good, but the time is coming in which you're not going to be able to have access. So it says, but then disasters will spring up everywhere. See, wars, famine, and great confusion. You see that? So many people on the earth will starve to death. This is what's coming. Many people are going to starve to death, man, for the lack of resources, the lack of food. And those who escape starvation will be killed in the war, man. So let's play this video real quick, and then we'll get back into the scriptures.
What Walmart is doing is sending a warning to Americans, and you should be paying attention because it looks like they're quietly preparing for something. Between food shortages, new theft-proof containers, and soaring prices, this is something we should be paying attention to. Check this out.
Something's going on. Something is going on. My daughter lives near Collierville, Tennessee.
Look at this motherfucker. Ain't nothing even happened yet, and she already bugging out.
She went into a Walmart to do some shopping today, which she rarely does. And they were removing all the meat from the counters, putting it in shopping carts and putting it in the back. And she stopped one of them and she's like, hey, I need a roll of that hamburger. Yeah, we can't sell you this meat. She was like, why? And he's all, I don't know. We were told to remove it all from the counters and we're not allowed to sell it. So she's like, whatever. So she walks over to the dairy counter where, the cheeses and all that. No eggs, no milk, all removed off the shelf. So she's like, nah. She found somebody. She's like, get me a manager out here. A manager came out and my daughter's like, what's going on? Like, he wouldn't let me buy hamburger meat. I need to get milk. I need to get eggs. And he's like, we received a memo this morning at our morning meeting. And we were told to remove all of this from all the shelves and not to sell any of it to the customers. My daughter was like, why? And he's like, I don't know. We don't have a reason. We were just told to say we're not allowed to sell it. My daughter goes to another Walmart down there. Same shit. Why are they removing all the meat and all the dairy off the shelves and not allowing people to buy them?
I got about 900 of rejected items.
Lady told me that they grown too big. I'll take these right here. They look pretty good to me. I sure do be seeing them in a lot of Walmarts looking like this. I got to come on here on the app and report the claim.
All right, so listen, we're in Walmart right now, okay? And this is how bad everything is getting. I needed shaving cream. Now, mind you, did I shave today? No. Do I have some at home? I do. But I needed some more. So I'm looking where it used to be. Can't find it where it used to be. Make it right. I can't find where it used to be. So I'm like, all right, let's go to the back of the store, roll like the, I got to give you a container. Container? So I'll carry it up front. Now, this is what you get now when you got to ring out this. This world is getting sad. Sad.
So here's the thing with this, okay? I had to get a worker to get the shaving cream, then to put it in a box, and now I got to go find another worker at the front to unlock the box to pay for it. Like this, I feel like I'm in jail when I come here.
In total, the
Motherfuckers so damn entitled.
company announced that 269 store locations will be closed worldwide starting next month. Though most of the store locations are in the United States, a bulk of the store closures will occur in Brazil as well. Included in the restructuring, 102 Walmart Express stores will be closed in the United States, with 154 stores in the U.S. closing altogether. The move will affect 16,000 employees. And other
Yeah, so they restructuring a lot of Walmarts because of so-called theft issues. So, they bring that future security. Yes, we know gonna line up with the chip, man, within these new Walmarts. So they're getting ready. They're getting ready for inflation, and they're getting ready for to bring in Nicaragua. It's all said and done.
markets, Walmart said it was closing 115 stores in Latin America, including 60 in Brazil.
So this comes as officials with the company continue to pull workers back to its main hubs. So in the memo that was sent to employees, the retailer said it is cutting roles and asking office-based employees in some of its smaller offices to relocate to the company's newly opened headquarters, but did not specify how many workers are being impacted.
Well, Walmart is now issuing a major financial warning to millions and millions of Americans. Because right now, what we are expecting is prices are going to increase and customers' shopping experiences will change.
So the Walmart store that was ordered to supposedly remove all the meat and dairy off the shelves, it really begs the question, why is that? Why would they be taking some items off of the shelves? That seems really odd to me. And then, of course, we're seeing the prices already starting to go up with the produce because of the tariffs, because of other reasons. The new boxes that are supposed to curtail theft, I haven't seen that in my local Walmart, but the fact that that's already happening now, that's crazy. You have to put items in these little cages to take them to the front because you're not trusted to take them yourself. And then you have to have the cashier open that before you could take it out of the store. And you got to think about it. What does it mean when the largest retailer in the United States, Walmart, starts freezing fresh produce, removing food from the shelves, and locking up common basics like you're in a prison? It really seems to me that they're preparing for even more food instability, rising theft due to desperation, and growing public tension. And while the masses might be choosing to just turn a blind eye to what's going on, we have to pay attention to the picture that this is painting of even a more dystopian future that we have been experiencing ever since basically 2020. So, I don't want to just say all these things to put fear in people. I want people to listen to this and get encouraged to think about what types of things I can do right now. Should I buy some more food? You don't have to go and hoard a bunch of items, but if there's some things that you need, get them now. The prices are going to be going up because of the tariffs anyway. So why hold out? Why wait till maybe you see empty shelves in your area? Go ahead and start stocking up on some important items.
Yeah, so they know people about to bulk the hell out. So they pulling back food off the shelves, and they're gonna preserve some of it. Then of course they're gonna hike up the prices. So yeah, people about to lose their damn mind. Now, the scriptures goes into inflation and how bad it's really gonna get. We read 2 Peter 16 and 21, where it spoke about the time is coming when food would be so cheap that people would think a time of peace and plenty has arrived, man. They're going to think that they're in a good case. They're going to think that they're good. But, when these increases hit, you're going to see them bulk the hell out. So she was speaking about violence taking place. And we know that's going to be, one of the major things going to transpire because of the lack of bread, right? The lack of access to the bread. I was reading 2 Peter 15, which is pretty much a precept from 2 Peter 16 and 22, as he read before, on down to 24. So second edges 16, 15, and 19. So when all this takes place, a man should have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. You see? Because of the lack of bread for great tribulation. Right? So these things will be transpiring because of the lack of resources, the uncertainty kicking in. And just to show you how bad it's going to get, Revelation 6 goes into the famine in verse 5, where it says, third seal, famine. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, dark time. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hands, right? Judgment. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt neither oil nor wine. This is a metaphor, a dark saying for inflation and ultimately famine. So again, I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. So what does this penny consist of? How much is a penny? I ain't talking about 1 cent. This penny right here, as you click on it, Strong's G1220 denarion, and we'll get to the point. Denarius containing 10. So right here, it says, it was the principal silver coin of the Roman Empire. From the parable of the laborers in the vineyard, it was seen that a denarius was then the ordinary pay for a day's wages. So the penny is talking about, was equated unto a silver coin of the Roman Empire, which is about a day's wages, a day's worth of work. So if you made, say, what $200 in a day, it would cost that, to receive a measure of wheat or food. All right. And you go into this word measure right here, Strong G5518. It's how bad it's going to get. So getting to the point, it says, or I'll just read it from the top. So a konix, a dry measure containing 4 kotale or 2 satari, less than our quart, 1 liter, or as much as will support a man of moderate appetite for a day. See, for a day. So a measure of wheat, a measure of food for a penny is equated unto a moderate portion of food, to sustain 1 man for a day. That's how high things are going to get. So a loaf of bread, per se, right, may cost you $50, $100, man, or more, a day's wages. So a certain measure, it says enough to sustain a man of moderate appetite. That's going to be a day's wages, man. So that's going to be super high inflation right there. All right. But when you go back into this, it says in verse 6 again, I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny. All right. Enough to sustain a man for 1 day, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. So at the end of this, it says, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine, because, the elect who have this truth, which is equated unto the oil and the wine, are not going to be affected by it, which means that they're going to be taken care of no matter what circumstances they may find themselves in. They're going to be sustained because the Lord said so. So yeah, we may stock in a sense right now, to kind of lessen the blow. But once the famine truly hits, then the Lord's going to provide provisions. And we're not going crazy with the stocking. We're just being wise, just like Joseph, stock up a few things when he heard about the famine that was coming. It wouldn't be unwise to grab a few things if you could, if you got the money to do so. But either way, if you are in this truth and you're doing according to what the Lord told you to do, then you're going to be sustained. I just want to click on Strong G91 to see what it says. Yeah, so pretty much you're not gonna be affected. I was trying to see if I may have found another word in there, but you're not gonna be affected. You're not gonna be hurt. You're not gonna be punished with those who are going to be affected by this great famine, because it tells in the book of Ezekiel, the 4th chapter. And we'll read it in the NLT, Ezekiel 4:16. So it says, then he told me, son of man, I would make food very scarce in Jerusalem. All right. And this happened in ancient Jerusalem, but guess what's going to happen again? So it says it will be weighed out with great care and eaten carefully. You see, a measure of wheat for a penny. It says it will be weighed out with great care and eaten fearfully, because you're not going to have a great portion, just enough to sustain you for a day. If that, so the water will be rationed out drop by drop. It's going to be rationing. And then people would drink it with dismay. So lacking food and water, people will look at one another in terror, and they will waste away under their punishment. And that's why you're going to see, the uptick in violence taking place. You're going to ultimately see cannibalism. You see, because of these resources which will be taken away. But for those who are in this truth, like the scripture say, hurt not the oil and the wine, which means that while these people out here suffering, you're going to be taken care of. And that's the benefit of coming back into Yahweh by Shema Shah. You're going to be preserved from the said perils. So 2 Corinthians 2 and verse 26, as for the servants whom I have given thee, there should not one of them perish, for I will require them from among thy number. That's the elect, opposed to the 2/3 who are going to perish. The 1/3, right? Who are going to make it. So be not weary, don't worry, for when the day of trouble in heaven is cometh, as we can see approaching, it says, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou should be merry and have abundance. You see that? That's the Lord fulfilling what he said in Revelation the 6th chapter, hurt not the oil and the wine. You're going to have an abundance of things eventually. Now we're going to go through some hard times, but again, the elect are going to be preserved. You're going to have provisions laid up for you to keep you and preserve you under salvation. So I don't want to make this lesson too long. Just want to go through that real quick just to show you, what time we're in. So, Lord willing, you were edified. All right. So, hey, y'all, Bashim Mashah, Bashim Makakwadash, Shalom to the hopeful elect, and the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us the truth. Hey, Shalom.